welcome to Barca News. It is April 19th, 2026, and Hansi Flick has frozen all of the meetings regarding next summer transfer market signings. Also, Monaco ready to sign Ansu Fati on a permanent transfer. And finally, Barcelona close in on the signing of an African talent or an African wonderkid. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and I'm doing this short live stream because today I got home pretty late, so I ran out of time to film, edit, and post. So instead, I'm doing a short live to bring you all Barcelona news. This is not a podcast. I will not be reacting to any comments live, but of course, tomorrow, Monday, is podcast day. So I hope to see all of you there. All right, let's dive right into the news because, ladies and gentlemen, the German coach Hansi Dieter Flick, an incredible gift for Barcelona, has decided to freeze all these signing meetings with Deco and the sporting department. Now, as you know, we have the summer transfer market right around the corner. And of course, Barcelona are already planning what players to sell, what players to loan, what players to buy, you name it. And of course, these meetings usually involve the coach himself to see what he thinks or what his opinion is. However, Hansi Flick has told the club that he doesn't want to be a part of any of these meetings until Barcelona are mathematically champions of La Liga. So in other words, Flick is 100% focused on finishing this season strong. He wants to become champion of La Liga. And until then, that's all he wants to think about. That's all he wants to talk about. So he doesn't want to be a part of any of those meetings. Now, of course, this is also right at the back of the news that I told you yesterday that Flick has agreed to extend his contract with Barcelona. However, he also doesn't want to talk about any of the details of that contract until Barcelona are champions of La Liga because he doesn't want any distractions, which of course just goes to show Flick's commitment to the success of this team and this club. But now, speaking of his contract renewal, it's reported that his agent, Pini Zahabi, is set to fly to Barcelona pretty soon to meet with Flick once again. And with Barcelona, as you know, Barcelona want to extend the contract of Flick by another year plus an optional second one. Right now, Flick's contract expires in 2027. Barcelona want to extend it until 2028 with an option to extend it until 2029. But of course, Flick has told them, hey, let's wait until the end of the season. I'm focused on becoming champions. And two, he wants the club to properly evaluate him based on his accomplishments. And that, of course, is not clear until the end of the season. Now, speaking of Bini Zahabi, he is also set to meet with Robert Lewandowski, who so far has yet to accept Barcelona's contract renewal offer. Now, as you know, Lewandowski's contract expires this summer. Barcelona want to extend the contract of Lewy by another season until 2027 with a much reduced salary. Initially, Lewandowski's priority was to stay at Barcelona, but then he started feeling like he wasn't getting the minutes that he deserved. So it looks like he's considering all of his options, not just Barcelona. So Pini Zahabi is set to also meet with Lewy and with the club to see where everyone stands. Now, it's reported that Juventus are now pushing very strongly for Robert Lewandowski because, of course, their striker, Dusan Vlahovic, his contract also expires this summer transfer market. They've been trying to renew him for quite some time. And even though Barcelona dropped out of the race for him, so far Vlahovic has yet to renew with Juventus. So if that doesn't happen, Juventus want Lewandowski to be their center forward. So now they are pushing very, very strong for him. And in fact, Pini Zahabi is also set to fly to Italy to meet with the Italian club to see what they have to offer. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see where Lewy will end up. Is he going to renew with Barca? Is he going to go to AC Milan? Is he going to go to Juventus? Is he going to go to the MLS, the Chicago Fire? Or is he going to go to Saudi? Saudi, I don't think so. He's said many times he doesn't want Saudi, but those are the current options on the table. We'll see where the Polish striker will go. Now, speaking of attackers and speaking of Juventus, it looks like Juventus are interested in yet another Barcelona player who's no other than Roony Bardghji, the 19-year-old, the right winger who Barcelona signed this past summer transfer market. Someone that hasn't been getting a lot of minutes, and as such, a lot of clubs are now, tracking him, interested in signing him because they think this will be a good opportunity to take him and, offer him minutes, something he's not getting at Barcelona with regularly. In fact, A lot of clubs try to sign him this past winter transfer market, but Barcelona made it very clear that they're not interested in selling him. Plus, he was not interested in leaving either. Now, Barcelona are still not interested in offloading Bardghji. Hansi Flick counts on him. You might say, well, Mo, why isn't Bardghji getting minutes? Why isn't Bardghji doing this? Look, you got to be very clear about what Bardghji is doing here. This is his first year coming from a Swedish league. It's a huge, huge jump in level of skill. Not to mention, Barcelona has his own unique style of play. So this first season was always meant to be a adaptation season for the player. So please stop asking why Bardghji isn't getting minutes. That was the plan from day one for him to come to Barcelona, learn how to play the Barcelona style of play, get adapted to elite football, and then his second season is where he's supposed to either make it or break it. So stop asking why he's not getting minutes. It's pretty much you're asking, why is he following the plan? Why is Barcelona following the plan with him? Not to mention, he plays on the right wing, which is exactly where Lamine Yamal plays. Let me ask you this. If Barcelona had signed Bardghji 5 years ago when we had Messi, would you be asking why isn't Bardghji playing and why is Messi playing? Of course not. Lamine Yamal is one of the best players in the world. Of course, he is getting a lot more minutes than Bardghji. Anyways, so that's the news. We'll see whether that tempts Bardghji or whether he'll want to stay in Barcelona, because after all, the plan was always for him to come and adapt his first season. On to the next bit of news, because guess what? We have great news in regards to another Barcelona attacker, and that is Ansu Fati, because Monaco are now ready to activate the option to buy worth 11 million euros. Now, Ansu Fati, as you know, is currently on loan with Monaco. He has an option to buy worth 11 million euros so far. His stint at Monaco has been a roller coaster. When he first arrived, he was kind of out of shape, or that's at least what Monaco staff thought. So he, I think, spent the first 2 or 3 months just getting back into shape, getting back into competitive rhythm. Once he was fully fit, he started having a lot of minutes, scoring a lot of goals. It looks like he was succeeding. That Monaco changed coaches. The new coach didn't really like him too much, so his minutes dwindled. Then he went through an injury that saw him out for several months. Then he came back from injury. Now, once again, he's back to having minutes. So far, he scored 9 goals this season, and he's having a key role in Monaco's play or push to try to qualify for European competition. And now it seems that Monaco have decided to activate that 11 million euro option to buy. However, there's a big if, and that is that Ansu Fati needs to accept a much lower salary, because, as you know, Ansu Fati has an incredibly high salary, something that Monaco cannot afford. In fact, Barcelona are paying, I think, half of that salary right now, with Monaco paying the other half. So Monaco willing to sign Ansu, willing to pay Barca 11 million, but Ansu has to reduce his salary by a lot. We'll see whether Ansu Fati agrees or whether he's going to want to come back to Barcelona, where his contract expires in 2028 and where it's clear that, well, he has no role. Now, let's end today's video with great news, because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona are closing in on the signing of one of the most promising African talents, who's no other than Seydou Dembele. Now, Seydou Dembele is an 18-year-old playmaker from JMG Academy, Bamako in Mali. He is has been kind of like dubbed or compared to like an African Messi. Why are they saying that? Because Dembele is described, his dribbling, he's a dribbler, like he's in number 10, but his dribbling has been described as electric. He combines that great dribbling skills that he has with a sharp eye for goal, whether it comes from open play or from set pieces. He has an exquisite left leg, and positionally speaking, he's versatile, where he can play either a central role as a playmaker, in other words, as a number 10, or he can attack from the right wing, where he likes to cut inside and then use his left foot. So pretty much a very similar profile to Messi. Not to compare him to Messi, but very similar profile. Now, Seydou Dembele is also an international with Mali's under 17, where he has scored 6 goals in 14 matches. A player that Chelsea were very close to signing, but then Barcelona swooped in and said, sorry, bros, we're taking this guy. So it looks like Barcelona one step away from signing Seydou Dembele as part of their huge increased effort to sign football, identify and sign young emerging African talent. So great news in that department. It's expected that Seydou could be joining Barcelona in the next few days. And of course, those are the signings that Barcelona need to be making. Young, promising players who cost almost nothing. Because if it works out, guess what? You just signed the next star, the world star, for nothing. If they don't work out, who cares? You barely spent any money, as opposed to, making huge signings like Ousmane Dembele or Griezmann or Coutinho, where if they flop, well, you're out of a lot of freaking money. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. I went live a few moments ago. If you haven't seen that video yet, make sure to check it out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.